MashaAllah, fi amanillah. That's nothing. That is junnah. Those are words to use a shield to shield their efforts or lack of efforts. This is what the hypocrites use when they come to the Prophet. They say, Nashhadu, we testify that you are the messenger of Allah. But the Quran says, ittakhadhu aymanahum junna. They use these expressions as a shield to shelter what? To shelter their other motives that are deep down in their inside. Ikhwa, to you and my ikhwa, are people, you and I, who have a common commitment. You want to know who's an ikhwa? You want to know who are your brothers? Your brothers, you can think about it, according to the Qur'an, are not people who say words of Islam with their mouth and who dress up like Arabs or anybody else. And this is a cheap currency that passes on in the society of ignorance. This is a cheap currency. You want to know who's ikhwa? All those camels that come together in the evening and are tied to one common pole, that's ikhwa. What is your commitment and my commitment to one another in the deen of Allah? Most of us have no commitment. Most of the Muslims have no commitment to one another. And you know it, that's a hard fact. People go to masjid, they go to Jummah, they go to institute, they go to classes, but we don't have commitment. We are not building a society. Ikhwa means that common bond where each one is committed to, they're restricted to, so there's no violation against the rights of one another, but they all have the same responsibility and the same goal. There's a perimeter defining their life. This was the message of that messenger. He didn't come with this cheap message, all believers are brothers. I don't know about you. I would love to find people who are really brothers outside of my own brothers. I'm in search of that. I would love to find people who are sisters outside of my own sisters. Because when I deal with brothers and deal with sisters, then I don't have to worry. But very often when you turn your back with your so-called Muslim brothers, they wish to put the longest sword in your back. This is not the kind of definition that the Muhammad, the great messenger, brought. He wanted people to know that they have a responsibility. This cheap way of belonging to this community is not the message of the Prophet. You want to be in the community of the Prophet? You have responsibilities. I have responsibilities. So I leave this with you, all my good brothers and sisters. There's a lot for us to learn. This Qur'an is a book of light and a book of life. You know, the Christians say, as a little boy I used to hear them saying, born again, believe in Jesus Christ and you're born again. Well, I want to tell you that Muhammad brought the same message. He said, accept the Qur'an and you'll get new life. You'll be born again. Go tell the world that. Because the Qur'an is full of evidence about that. In the Caribbean, we call people who are alive, but have no control over their lives, but their lives are controlled by others. We call them living dead, zombie. Those of you who come from Tanzania or all those African countries, you'll know the word. But if you come from the Caribbean, you'll know that word. I'm very worried to become a zombie. I don't want anybody to be pulling strings on me to make me a puppet in life. But I'll give you the news. The news is, if you don't become masters of your own destiny, you are committing yourselves to the slavery of others. I leave this with myself and you. These are very strong words. They're very uncommon expressions. I've asked you nothing more than listen, analyze them, investigate them, and benefit from them as much as you can. We ask Allah to help us to achieve life that makes sense to us and take us out from all the darkness that we have been living in and that are still waiting for us, and make us the reason and the cause for the happiness of ourselves, our families, our society, and to be someone who indeed follows this messenger who has brought great hope and usefulness to society. فَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. Dear brothers and sisters, we remind ourselves, hoping that we still have room in our lives. There is a statement in the Qur'an which the Prophet told the world. He said, when good is to befall you, then the physical expression, which has to do with aeronautics as well, is that your heart, your mind becomes spacious and you're able to assimilate. مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. But the person on the other hand, if he's not to benefit, then his heart is squeezed like that and pushes out the air. Please strive, and let us all strive to make room in our lives. If you and I have the right attitude, we can learn from everybody. I learn from everybody. I graduated from the university years ago, but I am a better student now than I ever was before in my life. And nothing will stop me from changing to become a better human being and a more educated follower of this fantastic, mighty messenger. We ask Allah to bless him, to bless his memory, and that we can become the people that have not seen him, but have benefited so much from him. May Allah's blessings descend also on the memory of all the messengers, and may we use their legacy to enrich our lives, our families, our friends, our relatives, and our society. As-salamu.